So welcome, everyone. My name is Juan Abeyta, and I am the chair of the Community Engagement and Integration Team, which is a part of the Access to Justice Commission here in New Mexico. We're going to be starting up now. Just a couple of housekeeping announcements. Please place yourself on mute during the presentation. You will have the opportunity to pose your questions in the chat channel. So as we go along, if you have questions that arise, feel free to post them there. This webinar will take approximately 1 hour. And as again, we encourage you to switch to speaker view, which will allow you to have a larger screen area to see what we will be going over. Today's webinar is on Law Help New Mexico. Law Help New Mexico is an online website that is managed by the New Mexico Legal Aid here in Albuquerque. The website offers information on civil legal matters. And so we will today look at that website. We will try to get a sense of what information is available and how you can utilize that website not only to access information, but also to access resources to address the issues that you will be dealing with. Our presenter today is Carol Garner. She is the Statewide Intake, Referral and Advice Unit Managing Attorney at New Mexico Legal Aid. Carol was born in St. John's, Newfoundland, Canada, and grew up in Alvin, Texas. She graduated from Case Western Reserve School of Law in Cleveland, Ohio in 1994, and a beneficiary of Case's second career student program, having 3 children under the age of 3 when she began law school. So lots of juggling to handle there. Upon graduation, she received a Skadden Public Interest Award and worked for 2 more years in Cleveland. She has worked in the legal services arena since 1984, beginning as a paralegal, and has been with the New Mexico Legal Aid since August of 2018 as the managing attorney of its statewide intake, referral, and advice unit. And again, this webinar is going to feature a website called Law Help New Mexico, addressing civil legal concerns. I want to welcome all of you in attendance here. A reminder that as we go through this presentation, if you have any questions to pose, please put them in the chat channel, and we will address those questions as they arise. And Carol, I'll turn it over to you. Tell us a little bit of what is Law Help New Mexico and why was it created?
Thank you, Juan. And everybody, I'm glad to see so many people here. I'm happy to have an opportunity to show you a bit about Law Help New Mexico. It is a legal information website, and almost every state in the country has a legal information website. You can find other states, any state's legal information website by, instead of going to lawhelpnewmexico.org, you just go to lawhelp.org, and that site will show you which states, the links to each state's legal information website. A legal information website is developed in order to provide, well, these particular ones have been developed with funding from Legal Services Corporation, a federal program, to provide free, non-commercial information to people searching the web who have questions about the law and their legal situation. It only applies to, it focuses upon civil legal issues, which means not criminal, not traffic tickets. It also does not focus upon what we would call fee-generating personal injury. I got hit by I got in an auto accident and I need legal help. The legal information websites that are under the rubric of Legal Services Corporation don't focus on those kinds of issues. What we try to do is focus on issues that ordinary people that are potentially clients of New Mexico Legal Aid. They would apply to legal aid for assistance, or they might apply to enlace. They might apply to other civil legal service programs in New Mexico for legal help. So we try to provide information that they could read about ahead of time, or that they can read about and perhaps not even need to contact one of our specific programs to request information or help, legal help. So we try to identify those topics and issues that people say, I need to know about such and such. I need to know about getting a divorce. I need to know what are tenants' rights in New Mexico. Can my landlord do what the landlord's trying to do? And we try to have this website answer some of those questions. It is always a work in progress. The laws change, new information becomes available, and so you may or may not find what you're looking for. But what I can tell people is that if they're looking at lawhelpnewmexico.org, they will not see any commercial advertisements. They won't see solicitations from private lawyers or law firms. They're just going to see information presented and links to programs and government agencies that have been vetted for their viability and that they are safe sites to go to. So what I'd like to do is to get into, I'm going to share my screen and take you all through the sections. And let me share. And then, okay, let's see if I can get this minimized. There we go. Okay, so this is lawhelpnewmexico.org. And when you type it in, you may see up here in the address, the URL address bar, doesn't say exactly lawhelpnewmexico.org, because it's a WordPress site and it's sort of referencing you back to some of the technical stuff. But this is, here we can see Law Help New Mexico, and this is the site. So we have we have an English version and there is a Spanish version. So you can toggle between the layouts there. Give it a moment to switch over to the Spanish version. And I have clicked and it is not switching over. That's fun. There we go. Okay. And I can see here, I need to go in and switch this around so that this is the English, that this is a Spanish version, because as you can see, most other sections do have some of the Spanish language, and we need to work on getting all of it translated into Spanish. In the topics section, if there are not topics that have been translated into Spanish, users will only see an English version of it. I'm going to switch back to the English version and go through. So the home page is going to give a display of the various legal topics that people can search through. And they can click on any, these are links. You click around to see what's going on, what's under the section. And if you see a little additional box, it's going to show you how many resources are under there. We don't have anything there for criminal law just yet. The only things we would put up about criminal law are probably going to be links to public defender offices around the state. We're not going to be giving any kind of information, advice pieces about criminal topics. So I want to show you this. This is the home page, and I want to show you the various parts of it. And there's usually 2 or 3 different ways to navigate to sections of the website. This is the logo up here. This is, if you're on a different page and you want to get back to the home page, you can always click on the Law Help New Mexico image in the top left section of the site. The home page has a top level navigation bar that will provide links to the various sections. It always has a search box in the top right, and if you click on the search box, it's going to take you to a search section. I'm going to click over here to come back to my home page. Each one of these points in the top, the About page, legal topics, resources, news and updates. You will also find those as you scroll down. So here's the legal topics section in the middle of the page. We would get to the resources section below that, all from the home page. You can find all of these by scrolling down the home page. Now, it occurs to me, I'm showing this on a computer, on a laptop, but this is a mobile-friendly site as well. And so when you are, users who are on a phone or a tablet will have a display that is very mobile-friendly. These will be in sort of more of a single column, not spread across. You don't have to try to navigate on a phone looking at different columns of information. They will be all in a single column, and the user would just scroll down. We have a section here that talks about the partners that have contributed information to the website. And then this bottom, there's going to be this black section at the bottom of every page. It's called the site navigation section, and there will be the links to everything that you would also find at the top of the page. So here's the legal topics. Here's what you would find from our resources section. The contact piece talks about there's nobody to contact from this website directly. What a user would do is to look for an organization, go to the organization page, and either if you know the organization you're looking for, you can find it there, or you can scroll by topic to see what organizations in New Mexico might provide legal assistance in a particular area. I'm going to go back up to the top here and show you here. We had our search bar again. This search topic box here in the sort of partway down from the top of the page is the same. If you click into there, you're getting into the same section that you would get if you clicked into the search box here at the top right corner of the page. There is a quick exit button for people who, if they are afraid, if somebody walks in, they don't want the person to see what they're doing on the website. If they click quick exit, it's going to take them to two other opens up. The original page is just going to open up with a Google search page, and then a second tab is going to open up to the Weather Channel. And in this regard, it provides some protection from some safety for people that might be having troubles and not want somebody to see what they're looking at on the computer. I'm going back to my home section here. So you can find legal topics from the top navigation bar. You could click onto that, and I don't know if people are seeing the drop-down menu or not. I hope that they are, but you will see a list of the legal topics from the drop-down menu, but then you will also see them, and you can scroll down through the middle of the home page and find various sections here.
We did see the drop-down menu.
Oh, good. Okay, thank you, Juan. And again, down here in the bottom site navigation section, you can see the legal topics and the individual links to the individual topic pages as well. So in the search bar, when you can search, and here I'm gonna type in tenant and see what I get. And it shows me 5 results. It'll give me these links over to the various pages that are here in the website. I could filter if I only wanted to look at organizations that helped tenants, or I wanted to see if there's a clinic or workshop involving tenant information. Are there any forms? Any fact sheets? Forms would be ones that you can fill out that you could download to fill out. Fact sheets are usually they're PDFs and information. There may be, I don't know that there are very many links to videos yet. And if the news and updates section had anything about tenants, you could narrow your search down. 5 results is not a lot, but if there were a larger number of results, you might want to filter out drill down to a specific type of information. You could do, if I do divorce, it's showing me 2 results. And so here you can just type in various search terms, renter's guide. And if I do this over on the Spanish side, and I do not speak Spanish, so it's I have found that there's a guia. I know that I can start out with guia and it'll get me into what I would need, but we've also got this set up so that it will, you can, for the sections that are translated into Spanish, you could use the Spanish terms to type in here in the search bar. Again on let's get back to our home page. I'm clicking here again, and the About page talks about what this website is designed to do, and gives some basic background information, some discussion about what is legal aid and the kind of broad subjects and legal topics that are considered civil legal issues for users, site visitors. In the resources drop-down menu at the top here, if you click on any one of these, what you're going to do is you're going to come to a tabbed page, and it's all of the resources. Here from the drop-down, you can see organizations, clinics, workshops, fact sheets, forms and videos. Again, here we have organizations, clinics and workshops tab, news and updates, fact sheets, forms, and videos. Now, this clinics and workshops section is one that I hope, right now, the only person who is is able to do updates to this website is me. I would love to have help, and I try to do this work in updating around my other responsibilities at work. So there may be things missing here. I can see right now, this is not showing me what I would expect to see, and because I know that there's a lot more events. So doing this presentation is probably a good thing. It shows me that I need to find some time to get in and update it. Fact sheets, forms, and videos here will give you a list of information that you're trying to look for. You can say resources related to, and you find here divorce, or domestic abuse, and we have more information here. So back to home, and our top navigation bar again. As I mentioned, the resources. If I go just to the organization section, I'll see a list of organizations that we have uploaded information here to the site. I also went over the clinics and workshops, the fact sheets, forms, and videos, news and updates. And some of this information was pulled over from a prior version of this website. but definitely have tried to, we are working on getting more current resources added. Over on, let me go back to the Spanish. You know what? I think I have. Okay, guys, I'm going to just a minute. Yeah, okay. I was definitely, okay, let me go back to here to like resources. Let's get to our tabs here. Here is the longer list of resources of organizations that have had information uploaded here to the site. Clinics and Workshops tab is going to show us more clinic information here, fact sheets, forms, and videos. We have a lot of them here. And so here's what we can see. Let's pull over to the Spanish side now and go back to home. Okay. And here we see, now you can see more information. Again, if it's in English, it's because we have not had anybody be able to translate the information pieces from the English page, but we have been working and getting some of this information, as much information up as we can, and working with various community groups to get other pieces of information translated. Okay. So I'm going to search here. Let me do this. If I go, I'm looking for the renter's guide, and I can find it using Spanish terms here. All right. Going back to here. And again, I had clicked on this Spanish version. So now I'm going to click back to my English version here. If we go into family law, custody, and guardianship, you can see a list of the issues. These are information pieces where you can read but it's a drop down sort of thing where it shows a list of questions collapsed, but then you click on one of the down arrow to expand the section so that it's easier to read in small chunks instead of seeing a long page of text. It'll show if there are fact sheets or forms or videos that relate to the topic. You'll see the section over here on the left, right, and it shows you that there are 36 more. I know that these are various forms that could be used in court if a person is representing themselves. It's going to show us clinics and workshop section. Will show us ones that are scheduled that might really have resources related to this particular topic. So I'm going back to the family law collection of legal information, domestic abuse section here. And again, we can go down. We see fact sheets, forms, and video resources, and clinics and workshops, and a series of questions and listings that might be of interest to users and visitors, site visitors. And so this happens, and you could do this from every section topic. Here's housing and tenants rights. We see a section here on the renter's guide, and what this section does is doesn't give you a link to the full renter's guide, but it breaks out here it shows you can access the renter's guide online, and so that you can a site visitor could download it and save it or just look through it online. Here it shows there was a workshop on June 1st that needs and then there's one coming up, a teleclinic on September 20th. Related issues down here. These are other topics in the section on housing and tenants rights. And then we find various other topics here that people can look through.
Harold, can you describe what a teleclinic is?
Okay, good question. Yes, a teleclinic is These started being offered during the pandemic. It used to be that several courts around the state would host clinics where people would sign up to be able to come and talk to an attorney for 20 to 30 minutes to talk about their legal situation and just get some guidance. These were not attorneys that were going to represent the person in their legal issue. They were just going to give some good, solid legal advice about what's going on. When the pandemic came along, all of those were suspended. The in-person clinics and workshops were suspended, but eventually New Mexico Legal Aid, the Volunteer Attorney Program, and now a program called the Modest Means Helpline, and the courts around the state schedule opportunities for people. Instead of in-person clinics, they have it by telephone, so teleclinic. And there's a sign-up process, and there's a process for establishing financial eligibility for the teleclinics and the topic. Certain legal topics are covered, others are not. But they happen around the state at various times, and we try to keep the events section of this website listing those that are scheduled around the state. Here we have a section, Tenants' Rights about Eviction. If you've got an eviction order, and then some information to consider about whether you could try to appeal to save the place a tenant is living, or at least get some more time for move out, information about the laws regarding housing for people with disabilities, special legal situations for mobile home park residents. So this is not all areas. It's what we've been able to put together for the time being. And food and cash assistance, Medicaid, food stamps, TANF, temporary assistance for needy families, healthcare information, Medicaid, Medicare, some information about consumer debt, taxes, and assets. That is, here we have a few different topics that get more specific, where we try to provide some information for consumers. Employment, workers' rights and safety issues, disability rights here, some information about veterans information, wills, probate, estate planning, powers of attorney, a section about courts, legal terms, finding New Mexico law. The immigration section does not have much there. They're what New Mexico Immigrant Law Center put on an economic justice workshop a while back, and they hope to put on more in the future. And then some people are always wondering, well, what are your guidelines? And various programs operate and make eligibility decisions that are tied to the federal poverty guidelines that are updated every year in January. The different levels of what your household's income information is like determines many of these programs, what services they can provide. Again, down here through the homepage, the resources section has all of these 4 types of information grouped together here down the page. And that's kind of a quick view as to what is here on the website, how to navigate it using the search bar, to see what you could find here. Getting back to home, the quick exit that's going to take you away from this page for safety purposes. So now I'd like to open it up to questions.
Yeah, I've got one here for you, Carol, and that is, if you click on the organizations, what typically happens at that stage if you click on a specific organization, say Enlace Comunitario, and you click on that organization, what happens at that point? Where does it take you? How do people respond, etc.?
So it takes you to a page where the contact information is provided, website link, telephone number, address, if they have an email address to email the program for further information. The program has provided a little summary of what services they provide, perhaps how they came about, links about issues that they help with, and if counties that they serve. It may be all the counties in New Mexico, or it may be limited counties. And then how you could get more links back to legal topics that are addressed by the staff at Enlace. And so here I see we have all of the counties served statewide. If I go to one that is, let me get an organization that is in, no, let me see. Let me find one that I know would be Carl. And I think I get here. Oh no, it's Torrance. Senior Citizens Law Office, I know, only works in 4 counties. Let's take this out and then see what we get here. So if I click on Senior Citizens Law Office, then I could, down here, I can see counties served, and it's only 4 counties that they operate out of. And so if they have restrictions and they are not statewide, then it will be indicated on their organization's page to indicate where you live, whether it's worth trying to get in touch with them or not. And again, it lists the issues that they might help with, and these are links back to the legal topics information pages. Other questions? I will say, I'm going to put in the chat. I did not, in the handout that's going to be sent out to you that sort of shows screenshots of the site. I forgot, I did not put contact information for myself. My name is Carol Garner, and my email address is carolg@nmlegalaid.org. I would welcome if you're finding broken links, if you're finding errors, incorrect information, if you have suggestions about other information that would be useful, let's say you're working with someone and you're helping them search for legal information and you can't find it anywhere here, I would be happy to have suggestions to my email. I cannot answer specific questions about your anybody's legal issues, because I work with clients all the time and there's conflicts of interest and confidentiality issues. But for information and requests about what is available to find on this website, I am happy to answer questions about that. I would say that there are future plans for the website. Websites like this are never finished. We need to pull together legal services programs that help people in New Mexico. We need to pull together a community coalition to fund it, to keep it going, and hire staff to make sure that we can add additional information, keep it up to date. We need to supplement topics that are already here. And as I running through here, I see some that already that I could tell need to be updated. and develop more content. Other states have some very developed websites that cover issues involving agricultural workers, civil rights and LGBTQ population and their issues, information about criminal records, expungements, and traffic citations. It certainly would be able to provide links to the court pages about that. There are several of the courts around the state have information pages about those criminal issues that we could provide links to. We need a section on education issues, special education, student loan issues, sections about individual rights, about juveniles and minors. Families have those issues come up all the time. We need more information about Native American tribal law issues, voting rights, youth law, and education. So there's a lot to be done, and hoping that we need more forms and fact sheets. And Juan and I have had conversations about this, of getting more of the content translated into Spanish. So there's a lot that needs to be done. This is a good starting point.
And also, Carol, just to clarify for our audience, the difference between the civil and the criminal side of legal issues is that in the criminal side, if you are charged with a crime, you have the right to an attorney. However, on the civil side, there is no such provision. So essentially, when it comes to civil legal issues, individuals, in essence, are on their own, which is why a website such as this is important, so that people can recognize, first of all, if they have a legal issue, and if so, where there might be resources to help explain how that issue is handled, and then organizations that may provide assistance. But one of the questions we have is, are there resources available to pay for legal services? And you kind of touched on this, that some organizations do provide some assistance, but it is based on household income level. Is that correct?
Right. No, okay. Let me get to that in a minute. One, I think that you made an excellent point about the difference between civil and criminal. And we get people calling all the time. The law may provide a right. The landlord-tenant laws provide rights for tenants, but it does not. There is no right to have a free attorney appointed to handle a case for you for any kind of civil issue. And so, that's legal information sites can try to provide you with information about what your rights are, but not provide you with an attorney to represent you in court. So, and in terms of finding an attorney and hiring an attorney, the legal aid programs, organizations that are listed here on this site, most of them don't allow clients to hire them. There are Senior Citizens Law Office, I know, does have some limited services they will provide to people on a sliding scale fee. So some of their services would be free if you're very low income, and as your household income gets a little higher, they may provide those services for a low fee rate. But beyond that, there aren't very many of our, like at New Mexico Legal Aid, generally you cannot hire our attorneys. You just have to income qualify for our services. Modest Means Helpline has a higher income limit, but again, you can't hire their attorneys. Finding generally none of us don't have a list of attorneys that we send out and recommend. we don't, that's what I'm saying. We do not have that. We just refer people back. The State Bar of New Mexico has a website and a list of all of the attorneys that have a New Mexico law license. They have a section to, let me go, I think with my screen sharing, let me, so it's State Bar of New Mexico, sbnm.org. And when I get there, there's an online member directory from their homepage. And it allows you, you can search for a lawyer this way. You can filter by the practice areas. So you can look for the legal area that you want, that you think you need an attorney for. You can also filter by what county you are in. So that for people that only, attorneys that only work in certain counties. You can filter by languages spoken. Attorneys will give that information. We oftentimes, like in family law cases, and particularly like the eastern side of the state, you may need an attorney that knows about both Texas and New Mexico law, and so you can add in that another state that is involved, and they will find, you can find them that cross over like that. These are not recommendations. You then, people that are searching for an attorney then have to just sort of call them and talk with them about what their rates are. Sometimes, you know, attorney may give an initial free consultation, but I think that is a practice that is going by the wayside, and it's more that they will charge you a fee up front for a consultation, and then apply that fee to, if you hire them, they'll apply that to whatever they're going to be charging for their services. So, you know, it is difficult to find, there aren't any really good lists that say, here's how you can find a lawyer. You know, if it's an auto accident, there's tons of, you know, we used to say, go look in the phone book. Now we just say, Google the issue and the jurisdiction, the area where you live. So there's not a good answer for how do you find a lawyer that you, when you don't qualify for free legal help. And the other thing is, although New Mexico legal aid services are free, we do not help with every legal issue. We do not help everybody who would otherwise qualify, because we just don't have sufficient staff to help everybody.
Can you explain the concept of pro bono and what resources might be available?
Sure. Pro bono means, for, you know, it's attorneys that agree, are willing to take on a case without charging the client any fee whatsoever. And New Mexico Legal Aid has a panel of attorneys that sign up to give various levels of services. It can either be their attorneys say they're willing to talk to people during these teleclinics or legal fairs. There may be, there's a separate panel that says, okay, they'll take maybe one case a year to represent without charging the client. Other programs have their own list of attorneys that agree to work with on a pro bono basis on individual cases. I know that Modest Means Helpline has a volunteer attorney panel. Pegasus Legal Services for Children has a volunteer attorney panel. And so you get referred for a potential pro bono or for free volunteer attorney usually through a program that has a relationship with a group of attorneys that say, hey, I'd like to help one or two of your clients if they need more services than what you can provide. But it's not easy. And I will tell you that the biggest need that we see when people call us is not being able to afford an attorney for a family law issue. And it's just those custody disputes, divorce cases can get so complicated and messy. It's not easy to find a family law attorney willing to take on more than one case at a time as without charging the client.
And I'd like to remind our audience, if you have any questions, feel free to post them. There's a tab on the bottom ribbon that says Q&A. Just click on that tab and you can ask your question via that tab.
I'm going to stop sharing and pull this back out. And now I kind of can take any kind of questions that people might want to present. But as I say, and let me put here in the chat only panels. That's not what I want to get into. But is there a separate chat where I can put my email address? How do I do that? Answer dismissed. It's not letting me. Do you have a way to put my email address into the chat? I just see Q&A. I don't see an actual chat.
Unfortunately, we're in a webinar mode, which does not allow
there's
that.
Not. Okay. All right.
But we will provide that information again to all those who registered. We will again send you a link of this for the recording of this webinar, as well as a handout that Carol provided that covers some of the areas that she touched upon. And in there will be information. I have another question here. Are domestic violence cases considered legal or civil, and are victims provided an attorney?
So that's a very good question. A domestic violence situation can involve both a civil case and a criminal case. So the perpetrator could have a criminal case filed against them, and then the victim could file in family law civil court a petition for an order of protection from domestic abuse. So a victim can be going down the path, a dual path of both the civil family law area and the criminal area as a victim witness. The courts of New Mexico have some good resources on domestic violence survivors and victims. Actually the court has what they call a guide and file, a service where a victim can fill out information to file a petition online. Those pieces of information are referenced in the family law and domestic violence section of the Law Help New Mexico website. So it can be quite daunting for a victim or survivor to have to be dealing with both sides of the law, the civil side, family law side, where they are a petitioner, and then the criminal side, where they are a witness against the perpetrator, but they are not. They don't get to make a lot of decisions about what happens in the criminal case. So, but I would say that there are more resources in the state for victims and survivors of domestic abuse than there are for other types of civil legal issues.
And John Grecian is with us, and he wants to make sure that we clarify that this concept of a free attorney in a criminal case applies to felonies and misdemeanors that carry a sentence of a year or more in jail.
That's a good point, John. Good point. It will be a domestic abuse victim that gets caught up in the civil and the criminal side will find that on the criminal side, where their abuser is charged as a defendant in a criminal case, the abuser will be entitled to have an attorney appointed to represent them in the criminal case. Whereas over on the civil side, the victim petitioner does not have the right to have an attorney appointed to represent them for free. But also on the civil side, the abuser is called a respondent, and they do not have the right to have an attorney in the civil case either. Their appointed attorney from the criminal case is not going to represent them for free if the victim files a petition for an order of protection. This is something that can get really confusing for the victims to sort through, and for the defendants as well, to sort through and figure out. That's why the legal information side, or getting some advice. New Mexico Legal Aid does a lot of advice services to victims of domestic abuse without providing representation in court. The need is too high to be able to represent every victim who files in court. New Mexico Legal Aid does not assist respondents to the abuser, who's the person who's accused of committing the domestic abuse. We do not provide services or representation to those parties to a case. We focus on providing assistance and advice to victims of domestic abuse.
Are there specific resources for tribal communities?
Yes, there are. New Mexico Legal Aid has a Native American program that provides services to the Pueblos, residents and members of the Pueblos and Mescalero Apache tribe. They do not provide services to the Navajo tribal members. Those tribal members can contact DNA People's Legal Services up in Farmington. And there are some services for tribal member defendants who have been charged in tribal court.
Terrific. Thank you, Carol. Are there any other questions from our audience? All right, I see no more questions. So I want to thank everyone for attending this session. Again, this session has been recorded. It will be posted. We have an online New Mexico Courts website. And on that website, by the way, are copies of previous videos that we have done in a variety of topics, including kinship guardianship, landlord-tenant rights, mortgage foreclosure, immigration, agricultural workers' rights, and on down the line. There's a whole list of topics that we've presented similar webinars, and so those are all available online, which provide detailed information on the various topics. I'd like to thank Tesha and Twyla, who work with the Administrative Office of the Courts. They're the ones that set all this up and handle the registrations and the technology for this. Thanks to them for making this possible. And thank you, Carol, for your assistance today and in helping us understand a little bit more about the Law Help New Mexico website. We, meaning the Community Integration and Engagement Team with the Access to Justice Commission, present these webinars, these community webinars on a regular basis. If any of you out there have a specific topic area that you feel we should address, feel free to let us know. I can be reached at Juan R. Abeyta, that's JUANRABEYTA @gmail.com. And we will do our best to find some subject matter experts in the area you request. Again, this is only on civil legal issues. And We have been doing these webinars for the last about 2.5 years, and we've had well over 500 people attend these webinars. So we know that there's an interest and a desire out there for more information. We know sometimes it can be, the legal system can be a little intimidating and sometimes confusing. So we want to make sure that people have access to information that assists them and that can help them navigate these systems. And again, thank you, Carol, and I wish everyone the good rest of your day, and we will see you at our next community webinar.